Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janie Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're well and you've had a good week. If it's been a back to school, back to work, whatever it might be, I hope it's gone all right for you. Very busy week for us. Just seems to be absolutely lots going on at the moment. I do have a new course out if anyone's interested in holistic sobriety. Well, I hope you are. It just came about because I realised that I was spending so much time talking about the holistic pieces, you know, all the stuff that I've been banging on about for years with the books that I've written. And of course, I include loads of it in podcasts and in various aspects of things on the Sober Club. But I figured just throw it all together in one course so that people can look at some of the basics around living holistically and letting that kind of underpin everything, really. Well, it's the other way around, isn't it? Sobriety underpins it, but it's the sobriety that's the missing link. But, you know, sometimes people ditch the booze, but they forget that they may as well do all these other pieces now because they're going to be feeling so much better if they do. So, you know, the nutrition, the good sleep, the right supplements, the getting into nature, all of this stuff, much of which is obvious, I know, but we can sometimes forget it. So I've kind of just collated it together as to how I think it fits with a sober lifestyle. And it's just a really low cost course because it's not all singing, all dancing, fancy platform. It's just a bunch of files and videos, and you get some nice recipes for clean eating and all of that. So anyways, if it's something you're interested in, if you go to thesoberclub.com and click on the shop there, and it's called Holistic Sobriety, and I'll put the info in the show notes as well. Really thrilled that we have a teamed up on the podcast with SoberProof, and we're going to be interviewing Ed, tell you lots more about that in a little while. Really fascinating new project. Just before we get into that, a reminder of some events. So, as you know, I'm sure, the Sober Club is incredibly 5 years old. I think the official date is today, actually, or tomorrow, September the 7th, I think it was, all those years ago when we launched. So it's super exciting and really great that we've teamed up with Club Claritee, and we're going to be sharing their party space, if you like, Wednesday, 18th of September in London. It's a big venue. There's lots of tickets still to be had. It's not expensive. It would be so great to see you, podcast listeners, Sober Club members, Sober Curious, just fancy coming along. It's all good. This is not an expensive one. It's all about connection. So it would be so great if you can make it. And if you don't want to stay for the whole thing, it actually is going to be an amazing night. There's a DJ and all kinds of party stuff. But if you just want to come to the first bit and, you know, say hello, meet some Sober Club members, listen to me, you know, congratulating Alex on all the things he does for Club Claritee and some of our Sober Club members, then, you know, you're very welcome. So if you are able to make that Wednesday, 18th of September in London, if you just go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, and you'll see the link there. If you go to Eventbrite and you can see several dates. The one you want for the Sober Club event is Wednesday, 18th of September in the evening, and I'll pop it in the show notes as well, of course. And then, not for everyone, but just in case you have been sober for ages and you've been thinking, you know what, I'd really like to give something back. I'd really like to support others. I'd like to inspire other people to live their best life. Then join us for our free webinar, What Does It Mean to Be a Sober Coach? And that's on the night before our event, Tuesday, 17th of September. That's online, 7:30 p.m. UK time. And you'd be very welcome. It's absolutely not salesy. I'm not trying to sell anything because I don't do any big sell for my Sober Coach training. I have very small groups. There's a lot of one-to-one. It is about whether or not the energy is right, and we can always tell if the energy is good. So if you're just curious and you want to just find out more about it, Obviously, the sober coach training is to work with people who are middle lane drinkers, grey area drinkers, whatever the phrase is that you're using. But it's not about working with people who are clinically dependent. It's about helping facilitate people to live their best life without the booze. So if that interests you and you want to join our webinar, drop me a message, or again, just go to thesoberclub.com/events and click on the little link there for the webinar, and you have to register. It doesn't cost anything, but you have to register just to join us. So it'd be fantastic to see some of you there. Coming up, we will have a family constellations date in place, I promise, soon. Just trying to juggle a lot of dates. I do have my book coming out, From Wham to Woo, A Life on the Mic, my memoir. Oh my goodness, am I nervous about that? I got the first copy, oh wow, it's just as I'm thinking I might back out. Some of you probably saw on social media, there's me thinking I might back out, and actually it's too late now, it really is. So anyways, it would be amazing to meet some of you at one of the events. There's loads of bookshop events across the UK, or festivals. I'm doing the Louder Than Words Festival in Manchester, the Wantage Literary Festival, a couple of other festivals, I think, and a whole bunch of bookshops across the UK. I think the first one is the 22nd of October in, that's an independent bookshop in Letchworth in Hertfordshire. And then there's a whole bunch of Waterstones and a whole bunch of independent shops across the UK, right through to the end of November. And it would be just great to meet you, and particularly if there's any listeners who are old enough to remember the 80s and the early 90s, then it would be especially great to see you. If you can bring along, come and wear your daft clothes and bring along some of your old pictures, and we'll kind of share pictures of ridiculous hair and fancy kit. Hopefully we'll have a really, really good time. So it would be great to be able to see some of you on that tour. I know it's nothing to do with the Sober Club, although of course it is my memoir, so I do share a whole bunch of stuff in there about the music biz days, about the 24 years on Radio 2 with Steve Wright, and then the more recent stuff, hence the woo in the title, the more recent stuff about the work that I'm doing now and how it all came about. So I hope you find it an interesting read. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes if that's of interest. Well, every now and then on the Alcohol Free Life podcast, I get someone who says to me, actually, you know what? I'd really like you to talk about this project that I've got going on, and I'd like to sponsor the podcast. And so what do you think? And my answer is always, well, that will depend. It will depend what it is. It will depend if it's something I can believe in. It will depend if it's something that's right for the audience. As most of you know, as listeners, I don't take ads on the podcast. I don't do that thing that a lot of podcasts do, that you kind of halfway through a sentence and an ad flies in that is about nothing related to what you're talking about. I find that those kind of things very, very annoying. So this podcast is an absolute labour of love. But, in so doing, it's amazing when we actually do get to connect with someone who's got a really fascinating project that fits with the ethos of everything we do. So to that end, absolutely delighted to introduce you to Ed, who is the founder of SoberProof. And I figured rather than just talking about SoberProof, let's actually get Ed to do it in his own words, because he's got his own fascinating story. So welcome, Ed. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Janie. Great to be here. Really, really thank you for letting me help you on the show.
Good. Well, it's lovely to chat to you. And I think let's just start by just describing in a nutshell what SoberProof is, and then we'll take it back a bit and hear a bit more about you. So just, in a sentence, what is it?
SoberProof is an app that focuses on helping relationships that have been affected by the impact of alcohol reconnect and rebuild trust. So it's a relationship recovery tool based on personal experience and the journey I've been through.
So when you first explained this to me, I remember thinking that to start with, I couldn't quite grasp the need for it. But as soon as you explained to me your own story, it completely made sense, and now I completely get it, because I have come across over the course of doing the podcast, I've come across people whose relationships have been so badly impacted, obviously, with one person drinking or whatever. And I think, I spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about forgiveness and how we must forgive ourselves, and we must, accept that we can't necessarily, of course we can't go back, but sometimes it's very difficult and we have to be future focused. But what you're doing here is you're really kind of enabling people to, put their money where their mouth is, as it were, to actually do something that really genuinely allows those relationships to properly repair when the reality is trust will have been lost, right?
That's it. That's it. I mean, trust is particularly the first casualty when drinking becomes a problem in a relationship. Verbal promises, being let down, and the consistent, I've got it right this time, I won't drink this time, or I'll drink less at the weekend. And then there's promises build up. And when trust is in a relationship, it's great. I mean, feelings and emotions like love and hope and, sort of joy can exist. But when trust isn't there, you've got feelings like anxiety and fear, and anger can come out as well. So it can, creating conflict in the relationship and so on. So despite all the verbal promises, and also, once you've decided to make positive changes with your relationship with alcohol, it can be a long process to rebuild that trust, and it's fragile ground to be on. I mean, should I give you a little bit of backstory about how I sort of?
Yeah, please, because obviously lots of people listening to this podcast will have, they're grey area drinkers. They've never really had a rock bottom moment, but you did. So tell us about that, because it's really important. I really appreciate you being willing to talk about it, because some of it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I'm very pleased to say that today I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm sober.
Yeah, that's a good title for a book, by the way.
You can have that one, Janie. I mean, just a little example of how we get reminded. I mean, I've come to the recording studio with my friends to record this with you, and I've come down the high street of my main town, and I've been many different people walking down this high street, ranging from my teenage years all the way through to where I am now. And it wasn't that long ago that I, didn't want to come out until it was dark with my hood up to go to the shop to get supplies and then go back again.
Yeah.
But just coming down here, I bumped into 4 people, all also living sober lives. And, it's the connection, and it's the eyes, and it's the, it's just so, it's so good living this side and living in the solution rather than the problem. I suppose I didn't actually realize I had a problem until I suppose in my 20s, alcohol was my friend, socializing and, and so on. In my 30s, it became my crutch. And then as it turned against me in my 40s, it was no longer my crutch or my friend. It was, I'd have to be honest, it became my enemy. And I only realized I had a problem when I tried to stop. And when I tried to stop and couldn't stay stopped, that's when I realized I needed to have some help. But at the time I was married, and our relationship was, we were drinking buddies. That's how we got together. The dynamic of the relationship was there. And, when suddenly one partner decides that they can't drink anymore or has to control their drinking and so on, it changes that dynamic. And it was a long journey for me to finally accept the fact that I tried controlled drinking. I tried changing my drinks, only drinking on a Saturday night. But I had to, over a period of time, to come to the conclusion that I had to stop drinking completely for me to fully develop and grow to the next stage. But that took a toll on the relationship. I mean, it didn't just affect that process. It didn't affect my mental health and my well-being. It had an impact on the relationships closest to me.
Yeah,
and the ones I loved.
Did you go to rehab at that point, or were you doing this by yourself?
Yeah. I went to rehab, and it was at that point I recognised the fact that I couldn't do this by myself. Because I was full of good, what some would say, where's your willpower?
Yeah.
Why can't
Yeah.
you do it by
Yeah.
will? Can't you do it for, your children or your partner? But the willpower had actually turned against me. So my strong willpower was actually working against me. And then I tried to get knowledge, and
Yeah. Yeah.
knowledge in itself didn't work either. So then I recognized the fact that I needed to get some help and some support. And that's when things started to change. And I think that's when a few pennies clicked, and I started to recognize the fact that alcohol was my solution and I was the problem. And I had to change my outlook. I needed to have a psychic change and a whole review of how I viewed life and how I interacted with people, my expectations, my wants, my needs. All these things had to change. And when finally it started to click into place and I started to feel as if the head and the heart had connected, and I thought, this is it, I've got it this time, I turned around to my wife and said, okay, I think I've got it this time. And she said, but I don't trust you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been here before.
It's the boy who cried wolf, isn't it? How can I trust you this time?
How can I trust you this time? We're here again. You've been 3 months' time. You'll be fantastic. You'll do everything right. You'll be up in the morning. You'll be great. You'll be full of energy. I've got you back, but in 3 months' time, we'll be here again. So I can do this again.
It's so true. And just on that note, it's trust is such a difficult one, isn't it? Because we've all been in the position where we are the person who feels wronged or whatever, and there is someone that we just can't trust. And we don't necessarily want to feel that way, but everything is pointing to that, right? And I remember years ago somebody saying to me, a leopard never changes its spots. That person that you're with, they'll never change. And that is, I'm afraid, a kind of a core belief that runs through a lot of us, right? So we know that that's true. And yet when you're on the other side and you absolutely know that you've changed, you know that the light bulb has come on, you know that you've come back to who you really are. That's what this is about, isn't it? How can you enable that other person to begin to trust you? What can you do to show them that you really mean it, right?
Well, that's it. And I'd run out of options. I mean, I'd done lots of things. And I said, well, what can I do? And she said, well, I think we've tried everything. So I found something in America which helped, and because I was quite prepared to breathalyze myself 5 times a day, anything at all to just kind of save that relationship and rebuild trust, but almost like use it as a bridge to get through. So you can imagine the tricky conversations we were having. Have you had a drink? Are you going to have a drink? You've got something at the weekend. You're working your way this week. There was anxiety, there was resentments, there was, and the dynamic of the relationship became very warped. So I found something in America, which is always in America, isn't it? That was a breathalyzer, which was a very high-end device. It was facial recognition, so it was you breathing into it, and it got flown over to me from the States, and I paid quite a high subscription each month, so that I would get a test alert in the morning, a test alert at the night, and that would mean I blow into this device. It would take my facial recognition and send a text message to my wife to say, he's clean, 000, right? And I was delighted because I thought, I'm an engineer, and I thought, even I can't break this. There's no loopholes in this. And my wife thought the same. She said, even you can't, and I'll tell you very quickly, I managed to, but it was... she said, okay, I trust that device. I trust the score that's coming from it. And therefore, let's continue. And it was fantastic. And I used that for 1 year and it was fine, 2 years fine. Then COVID came along. And I by that stage, we didn't necessarily need to still have trust, but because it was working and it was there, and I didn't mind having this quite cumbersome device with me on a daily basis and at work and so on. And in actual fact, it's certainly in the first 6 months, as I was readjusting and the abnormal was becoming normal, and I started to find the brain chemistry was adjusting and so on. I found it a very useful tool, especially in some of my work scenarios where I knew I had to breathe into this last thing at night. Therefore, it kind of gave me a bit
kept you accountable.
Accountable, yeah. And in actual fact, I was proud to do it, to show I'm doing the thing. So in actual fact, there were the benefits for me, but there were benefits for my wife at the time as well. But then what happened was COVID for me I was okay during COVID. My wife was a key worker. I was at home with the children. I had a sense of purpose because I was homeschooling. I didn't feel that alcohol was a problem. I was blowing into this thing morning and night. And but what I did do during COVID, I was isolating, but I also isolated from my support network.
Right.
And I stopped doing the things that were working for me before COVID. And I suppose I became quite reliant on this device to prove I hadn't had a drink. So when COVID lifted and suddenly my children went back to school and I was left alone in this house again to work from home, I wanted to change the way I felt, because suddenly I felt empty, I felt alone, I didn't have a sense of purpose anymore. And of course, because of not be doing the right things to connect and do everything that was right to keep my sobriety, I had no power. So I wanted to change the way I felt. So I remember thinking, well, I can't have a drink because I'll get detected. But then I thought, well, hang on, I've been tested in the morning, been tested at night. There's 10-hour difference between the tests. If I have a glass of wine at lunchtime, I wonder if it'll show in the test in the afternoon, in the evening. And I gave it a go, and sure enough, it didn't show. And then it was a steady slope downhill. And I recognised in the end I could have a bottle of wine between the tests, but it soon discovered that I couldn't have a bottle and a half of wine between the tests. And of course, it flagged, and I was back to square one again. And so it did serve a purpose, but what I did learn from it wasn't effectively the solution.
But just on that note, just before we go any further on that, because it's really interesting, isn't it just fascinating how your unconscious mind, after all that time, your unconscious mind, as soon as you're under stress in inverted commas, you're no longer connected, you want to feel differently, straight back to those neural pathways that tell you, reaching for a drink is the answer. Even though I'm sure you will have done tons of work around just how bad for you alcohol is. You absolutely know the logic. You'll absolutely, and presumably you had been focusing on how much better you feel without it. And yet those neural pathways go straight back there. I think it's so powerful to be reminded of that for everyone. However long you've been sober, you have to carry on doing the work, not because alcohol jumps up and gets you from the table, and throws itself down your neck, but because unless we are focused on our own thoughts, unless we recognize that we are not our thoughts, we can control them, unless we're able to make those positive choices, our unconscious mind will always do that reverting back shit that it does.
Absolutely. Despite the carnage and the evidence of the chaos I created by having a drink, it was my first go-to solution. Because I'd not been doing the right things and practicing the things I needed to do, and I wasn't connected and well. Exactly. I had no defense. Yeah.
Because you what you didn't have, looking back, you realise is you didn't have your self-care toolkit. You hadn't actually healed some of those pieces of around yourself, of actually knowing that you're worth it. You're worth,
That's it.
Living your best life, right?
Yeah,
Fascinating.
And what I felt shame in that drink as well. I didn't want to tell anybody. Also, I certainly didn't want to tell my wife, because I thought, this is it. She'll know, and that'll be the end of the relationship. Yeah. But of course, once it was one day, I don't think I did it the next day, but I did the day after, and then of course the volume increased, because that. Yeah, of course. And we know where it goes.
You're down the slippery slope. So yeah. Let's cut to your idea then, to come up with something much more user friendly with an app that allows people to check in. I mean, great idea, and sounds like it's say much more user friendly than have to carry around a goddamn breathalyzer kit, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, fast forward a few years, and I then find myself, that relationship unfortunately didn't survive that incident, and we're great friends now. But during the time, it was I ended up living with my mum. Thank goodness my mum was sort of took me in, and I once again found myself going on that path, identifying what happened, what went wrong, making the differences, and then I started to live in the solution rather than the problem, and things changed. But once again, I was in a situation where somebody said, "I don't trust you." Yeah. So I said, okay, right, let's sit down together. And there were some benefits in that solution I had, but it didn't have everything that could really work. And I think that there's an option, and there's a gap in the solution market for relationship recovery that focuses on both sides of the scenario. Me, as somebody who is willing to change their relationship with alcohol and rebuild trust, and also my companion, which was my mum at the time, who was someone willing to support me through that process and also looking to rebuild trust.
Yeah.
So I sat down with a blank piece of paper, and my mum and I said, right, what would work for you? And she explained she was anxious, she was insecure, she had no peace of mind when I left the house, and so on. And then I wrote down the things that really helped with me, and we started rebuilding the application SoberProof from scratch with both sides in mind.
So if I've got this right, Ed, you have your app on a mobile phone, that is connected to your device, your breathalyzer device, which is only the size of a keychain, hopefully. So it's handy to carry around. You would set your time, you would set your window. So, whether you're going to do 2 check-ins a day, 3 check-ins, whatever. And that can pop up randomly so that you can't start planning it.
That's it.
And when it pops up randomly and says, you need to do a check-in, then take it from then and tell me what happens when you get that little alert.
That's you've absolutely nearly nailed it. It's the fact that it will work with any breathalyzer, and we didn't necessarily want to connect the breathalyzer to the app. What we wanted to do was use a video.
Okay. Clever.
Yeah. And also, as you're absolutely right, the check-ins are randomised, so I can't plan around the drink, and the frequency is determined by the nature of the relationship and where the person is on their journey. So if I just do one for you now, so I've got one to come through, and it says, it's time for your check-in, your phrase is. Now, I'll come back to the reason why I say a phrase in a minute. It's not. And my phrase is magical frog. Okay. So it says, please send us your video by 5:45, which is about, I've got a 2-hour check-in window. And I'm now going to open the video recorder and record. Now, I'm recording this. I'm going to blow into the breathalyzer. And I'm going to say, hello, Mum. I'm going to say the phrase magical frog, blow into breathalyzer, show her the result, and then send the video. Okay.
Right.
Here we go. Hello, Mum. Just sending the check-in for you. All going well on the video in the interview with Janie. I'll tell you how it's going later. Okay, just blowing into the breathalyzer now. And then I hold up the breathalyzer to the camera, and she can see there at 000, all clear. And then I click go, and it says, your check-in has been sent to your companion for review. All right.
Great.
So I'll open that, and she'll sort of see the fact what I'm doing. She'll know I'm on the interview with you, and she'll see that I'm 000 on the breathalyzer. And then she's got a couple of options. She can award me a clean pass, which is a double thumbs up. She could award me a pass if it was within agreed limits. Now, of course, because I'm looking for complete sobriety, clean pass for me is 0. But if, for example, I was in a relationship where a couple of drinks at the weekend might be okay, then a 0.03 reading would be good. That's a pass. And if I haven't passed or I haven't stuck to boundaries, then you just see that she's viewed it. And these all go towards the stats and the dashboard that you can see at the end of the week.
Right. Yeah. So proper accountability there.
Proper accountability. I had to say magical frog. The reason for that is so that I can't record
it. Yeah, exactly. Pre-record a load of videos. Yeah,
that's it.
You've thought of everything because, as you well know, people who drink are sneaky, right?
It's been the engineer side of things, but that magical frog phrase is generated by us in this case. Now,
right? Yeah, you choose.
But the way it works is, and this is where we're looking at the reconnecting in a relationship. So. My mum would get an alert to say, Edward is going to get his check-in video in 15 minutes. Do you want to personalise it? Okay. Now, she's not personalised that one. That's just a random phrase created by us. But every now and again, she will personalise it. And you can personalise it by changing the phrase.
Right.
So she might change the phrase to something, she's normally very...
So you can't have pre-recorded it. I get it.
I can't pre-record it, and it comes through. Now that personalisation from the test users we've had on the platform for the last 6 months, they've really, really used that, and they've sort of used humorous things, they've
Yeah,
posted
yeah,
things, and so on, and it's really helped establish some of the humor in their connection as well, because
yeah,
you can imagine some of the
yeah.
funny things they've been saying to each other, or
So
made the.
I imagine when you started with this, then this must have. I mean, your mum must have really felt okay. He really means it now. It must have been very comforting for her to be able to get these check-ins.
It was. It demonstrated for me. It wasn't an effort. It was. I'd put my mum through quite a lot, an
Yeah,
awful
you were
lot.
probably quite proud to do it, I
I
guess.
was. I was proud to do it, and
Yeah.
the peace of mind it gave her was immense. And also, as a companion, it's very difficult to know how to support the other person with the
Absolutely,
journey.
absolutely it is. I mean, we know that people go to, what do they call it, Al-Anon, don't
That's
they? Where, where they're kind of, but often there's just conversations that go on forever and a day about, oh, well, do I buy, him or her a drink, or do I kick him out, or do I? It's just we're chatting about it. You've actually got something here that you can actually get off your backside and do something, right?
That's right. I mean, she didn't know whether or not to step away and let me be, or she didn't know whether or not to be over asking questions. Are you okay? Or are you this? But this is a nice way for her to know one, I'm
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
but
yeah,
remove the whole level of conversation. But also, she can support me at the same time.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
but also, I quite like when she gives me a clean pass, I get what's called a clean coin that comes through,
Oh,
and
okay, cool.
and it's got a reward. Now, I still like rewards. Now,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I used to like a
We all
reward.
like a gold star, don't we?
Oh,
Let's
we
face
do,
it.
yeah. But I used to like one for loading the dishwasher.
Yeah.
But now I've lowered my, and these are real sort of things. And the nice thing is the clean coins add up to what I call together coins. And at 25 and 50 and 100 clean passes, both my mum and I will get a together coin, and the colours evolve and so on. And people will see that when they go on the website, that the together coins are based. The icon for SoberProof is based very much on the yin and yang sign. And as you progress to the together coins, the color of the coin of the member changes color as they grow. And the ultimate coin is the 1,000 clean pass coin, which is the black and white coin, which restores that full yin and yang sort of. And so it's the idea with SoberProof is you go on a journey to help repair and heal the relationship.
Yeah, brilliant. So tell us about ALF. Who's ALF?
Okay. So ALF is ALF is an acronym for Alcohol Free Life.
Oh,
And
good.
he is SoberProof's AI 24/7 support chatbot. I call him a chatbot, but he's so much more than a chatbot. When I sat down with my mum and said, what would help you? And she said, well, when I tried to find information out about how to support you or effective alcohol on the body or mental health or my mental health and self-care, she was going to Google to do some searching. She was reading articles and so on, but it was difficult for her to bring everything together. So with the advancements in AI now, I've created a chatbot which is purely dedicated to alcohol information and relationship recovery. So you can ask him anything, and he will. You can talk to him like a normal person, but also it's not just about the alcohol side; it's what to do afterwards. So all the topics you cover in your show, sort of sober-free dates, drinking, sober-free drinking, where to go, activities, and so on. It's all there, even to the level of. I sort of was asking Alf about how to handle conflict negotiation, how to approach difficult conversations.
Yeah.
It is like talking to a real expert, but it's a lovely way to interact and ask for help without. You can ask Alf questions you wouldn't want to ask anybody else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's great.
So it's all in one place, which is great. So how does it work then practically? Do people have they buy the app? They have some kind of subscription with you? Is that what's next, as it were?
Yeah, that's right. So currently what we're doing is if your listeners go over to soberproof.ai, they'll see we've got a wait list site there. They'll see some sort of overall information about SoberProof and the definition of the roles and a little bit about Alf and a couple of blogs there about the interview with me and an interview with Alf, which is a good one. But if they sign up for the wait list, we're actually launching the full solution in October. We've gone through, as I explained before, we've gone through a beta test with a group of users, and we have some really, really good results coming through. relationships being transformed in terms of trust rebuilding and so on. So we're really, really pleased with that. We're looking now to move to the next stage. And before we launch bang, we're looking for the next community of people to sort of refine some of the, refine Elf. So yeah, we're at a very exciting time, just pre-launch at the moment.
Great. Well, Ed, thank you so much. I really appreciate you explaining it to us, and big up to your mum as well for helping you, because I'm sure her role in this was very important, actually. Not just her role in supporting you, but in encouraging you to get this off the ground, because it sounds like she was a big driving force for it all as well.
Yeah, she was amazing. She gave me that real insight into the other side of the equation.
Yeah.
I mean, with just a final thing, the support groups and the help and the I've got it mainly to focus on me as an individual, and the impact on the relationship. Who said, well, if you continue to do the right thing and positive and do the right thing and so on, your relationship will improve. But it was really good to just sit down and say, how did my impact drinking impact you? And
totally.
Really,
yeah.
And through her honesty, it allowed me to create an application which helps both sides.
Yeah, I can really see it now. I really can, and I know, because I've spoken to people who, I remember not very long ago, a guy saying to me that he was so stressed about his partner because she had told him she'd stopped drinking, And he believed her for a good long while, and she was obviously hiding stuff, as people do. And then, one night she just doesn't come home, and oh my God, the stress levels, and what do you do in that? What do you do? Where do you pick up from that? And then there's going to be an apology, or I didn't mean it to happen. It's like, it'll all be fine again. And so, yeah, I totally get it. Whereas, if it's a real commitment, if that person really is ready, then fantastic. Let's actually show it. Let's do the check-in. Let's show it's okay.
That's it.
Let's face it. You're going to live your best life if you quit the booze, right? So
that's it. And also, just picking up on the final thing you made there, if the person is struggling and they do have a drink or they don't pass, then it's picked up early.
Yes, exactly. It's not about a judgment, right? That's it, then I'm leaving you. It might be more a case of, okay, well, let's have a look at this now then. It's not a judgment thing. Let's see if we can work together. Yeah, I get it.
It's being stronger together.
Yeah, I get it.
That open communication. That's it.
Yeah, brilliant. Ed, thanks ever so much. We'll make sure all of that goes in the show notes, of course. And I really appreciate you reaching out to the podcast and being willing to share this with our listeners. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
So we'll pop all that in the show notes. Final reminder then, go to the website, thesoberclub.com/events, and you'll find there all the info for Club Clarity's joint event with the Sober Club's 5th birthday on Wednesday, 18th of September. The night before, what does it mean to be a sober coach? That's Tuesday the 17th. And just a reminder, I know I say this a lot, but just a reminder that if you're doing this, if you're early days, if you're listening to this podcast, but that's the only piece you're doing, then you've got to tell somebody, and you can absolutely tell me, just reach out. Not everyone wants to join the Sober Club. Of course, if you do, it would be incredible connection for you and support, and we're totally non-judgmental, and you'll get all the cheerleading you need, and you'll get all the content you need, and you'll get the online course, and on and on and on. But it's not for everyone, is it? And whatever works for you is what you have to do. And if it doesn't feel right for you to connect in person or online, then just at least tell someone you're doing this, because just that gives a little bit of a layer of accountability, and it sends a message, even just to the wine witch, right? Okay, I'm committing here. Otherwise, it's just you and the voice in your head. So you can message me. You can find me on social media @JanieLeeGrace. Just drop me a message. Let me know you're doing this, and I'll hold that space for you. And whatever stage you're at, give yourself a really big hug. This is the best thing you will ever do for your whole life. If you're doing Sober September, by the way, I've just written a blog post on Sober September. Have a look at that. And, obviously, keep going, right? See you soon. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.